Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's a recorded class from Srila Prabhupada himself, and it was given in New York in 1973. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, and Text 40. So without further ado, we'll start it. Just want to let you know, bring up the volumes for your listening devices. And also, this is a fairly short class. It's about a little less than 20 minutes. So anyway, we'll start right now. Hare Krishna.
So, what would he?
Lalita, attractive, gati, movements, vilāsa, fascinating acts, valguhāsa, sweet smiling, praṇaya, loving, nirīkṣaṇa, looking on, kalpita, mentality, urumānāḥ, highly glorified, kṛtam anukṛtavatya, in the act of copying the movements, unmadāndhāḥ, gone mad in ecstasy, prakṛtim, characteristics, agan, underwent, kila, certainly, yasya, whose, gopa-vadhvaḥ, the cowherd damsels. Translation: Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Vrajadhāma, the gopīs. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the rāsa dance. Purport: By intense ecstasy of loving service, the damsels of Vrajabhumi attained the qualitative oneness with the Lord by dancing with him on an equal level, embracing him in nuptial love, smiling at him in joke, and looking at him with a loving attitude. The relation of the Lord with Arjuna is undoubtedly praiseworthy by devotees like Bhishma Deva, but the relationship of the gopīs with the Lord is still more praiseworthy because of their still more purified loving service. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna was fortunate enough to have the fraternal service of the Lord as chariot driver, but the Lord did not award Arjuna with equal strength. The gopīs, however, practically became one with the Lord by attainment of equal footing with the Lord. Bhishma's aspiration to remember the gopīs is to pray to have their mercy also at the last stage of his life. The Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified, and therefore Bhishma Deva has not only glorified the acts of Arjuna, his immediate object of attraction, but also he has remembered the gopīs who were endowed with unrivaled opportunities by rendering loving service to the Lord. The gopīs' equality with the Lord should never be misunderstood to be like the Sayujya liberation of the impersonalist. The equality is one of perfect ecstasy, where the differential conception is completely eradicated, for the interests of the lover and the beloved become identical.
So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, praṇaya-nirīkṣaṇa-kalpitorumānāḥ bhajavadhu-vargavija-kalpita. There is no better method of worship than the system invented by the gopīs. So gopis, in mention of worshipping Krishna, was to remain always Krishna conscious without any material profit. That is the super excellence of gopis. They never expected any return from Krishna. That was not their business. Oh, Krishna, we have done so much for you. You cannot give me this benediction. No. They will never ask like that. That is the first class worship. Krishna, you take whatever you like from us. But we do not ask anything, neither we have any need. This is gopi worship. We have got everything to give you, and we have no need to ask you. This is gopi worship. Generally, they worship God needy. Artha, artharthi. Artha means diseased. Artharthi means need of money. People generally go to church, temple, when they are suffering from some ailments or need of money. These two classes, another two classes, jigyasu, Gyani. Gyani means who is after pure knowledge. And jigyasu means inquisitive. What is the nature of God? They are higher section, but they are not bhaktas. Just like there are many philosophers, they also talk of God, but they are not bhaktas. But because they are talking of God, they are getting some benefit. Just like if you handle with fire, you perceive some warmth automatically. So these four classes of man, they are not bhaktas, devotees. Artha, artharthi, Gyani and jigyasu. But because they come to Krishna for some benefit, somehow or other they offer their service. Because praying is also another service. There are 9 kinds of services. Savanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasivanam, Archanam, Bandhanam. This is also service. But because this service is rendered for some motive, to mitigate the sufferings, artha, artharthi, or to satisfy some inquiries, they are not pure devotion. So, the gopis' activities, they are the supreme platform of pure devotion. There is no other business. There is no other business. Gopis, they are not interested to know philosophically whether Krishna is God. Although they are seeing every step, Krishna is God. Mother Yasya is seeing that Krishna is God. Gopis also, Gopijana Vallabha, Vrajadhāma. Krishna is lifting the Govardhan hill Who can do it except God? They are saying it. Still they do not know that Krishna is God. Krishna is wonderful, that's all. They do not like to know whether Krishna is God or not. They want to love Krishna. Krishna may be God or not God. It doesn't matter. Just like if you love somebody, what he is rich man, poor man, educated or non-educated, there is no consideration. Love has no such thing, consideration. Similarly, gopis' love for Krishna was pure. There was no consideration that Krishna was God, therefore they wanted to dance with him. No. Krishna wanted to dance with them, therefore they came to Krishna. Krishna is now calling by the vibration of his flute at this dead of night. So, all these young girls, they are all married, some of them are mothers. She immediately left their home. That is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Some of them were cooking, some of them were feeding, breastfeeding the children. Some of them were pleasing the husband or the father. In this way everyone was engaged. But as soon as Krishna's flute was heard at dead of night, they left home immediately. All the guardians, generally in India for young girls, the guardians are the father, the husband, the brother, all male members. They forbid, where are you going? Nobody cares. No love for so-called children, no love for home, no love for brother, father, or no respect, Krishna. That is gopi super extents. So that is being explained. And Bhishma Dev, at the point of his death, he is relishing. These are to be learned. Unless we are practiced to think of Krishna always, how at the time of death we can think of? Therefore, Kulasekhar says, Krishna tadiya padapankaja panjanantam addaiva vishatu vimha nasaraja hansya prāṇa-prayāna samaye kapavāta pitto kanthavarudhala vidho smaranam kutaste. Maharaj Kulasekhar, king, a great devotee, he is praying to Krishna. Krishna, this is the opportune time. Now I am healthy. I am quite in good health. So let me die immediately, thinking of you. Because my whole purpose is to think of you, of your pastimes at the time of death. So, generally at the time of death, kapavāta pitto, the whole system becomes disarranged. There are coughing, there are headache, there is some pain. This is general system. Sometimes they are so intolerable that the man who is going to die, he cries. The system within the body is so complicated that at any time it can be disarranged and it becomes a great source of pain. So at the time of death means the arrangement becomes so dangerously painful that one leaves this body no more. This is death. this bodily arrangement becomes so painful. Just like one commits suicide when the situation is too much painful. He wants to rescue by committing suicide. Similarly, when the bodily pains are too severe, then the living entity cannot live in this body. Taktadeham. He gives us this body. So we have to give up this body. That we forget. People have become so misguided. They are memorizing. In our country, some astrologer has said that one big politician, he has become one of the two dogs in Scandinavia. Now here, for this material body, they have erected museum and statues and being worshipped by so many methods. But the spirit soul, which was the politician actually, not his body, he has taken birth as a dog. This is their mistake. Where the politician has gone and what he is doing, they do not know. But they are concerned with the body. My Guru Maharaj used to say, yes, that one man is drowned, another brave man comes, I will save him. And she jumps over the water and brings the coat and shirt. Now this man is saved. So what people will say, what a nonsense he is. He has brought his coat and shirt, and the man is saved. Similarly, these rascals, they are dealing with the coat and shirt of the living entity, but they have no knowledge in the university or anywhere where the soul has gone. These rascals have no knowledge. They are simply concerned with this external body. Those who are interested only with this external body, not those who are 99.9% population, they are interested in this bodily concept of life. Perhaps we are the only institution in the world which is teaching that you are not this body. This is the wonder of Krishna consciousness movement. We are the only institution throughout the whole world that we are teaching people that, my dear sir, you are not this body. You are different from the body. And after death, you get another body. Tatha dehataram prapti. Simple education in the Bhagavad Gita. They do not understand. There are big scholars, rascals, all rascals. Our difficulty is these rascals are going on as scholars. They have no buddhi. Their life is bodily concept of life, and they're passing as scientists, scholars, leaders, politicians, and they're leading us. Unmadāndhāḥ, they are blind, and they are leading us. So we have been also put into difficulty. So only this Krishna consciousness movement can save the human civilization and get him raised to the platform of the gopīs. We have got such nice thing. is gopis unallied Krishna love. That is what. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. As I told you earlier, this is a short lecture. So, but it's a very powerful lecture. As you well know, Srila Prabhupada's lectures always teach us so much, whether it's a long lecture, whether it's a short lecture, so much information is given that's very enlightening. This is the time, dear devotees, to unmute yourself and join in the conversation with Krishna Katha about what Srila Prabhupada has preached. And whatever the takeaways, please express those or ask questions. We'll try to cover by the grace of Guru and Guranga. And other points too that connect from this lecture to another that you yourself know about, you can also express it here. Hare Krishna. So anyone that wants to start, you can do that.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to Officer Prabhupada. I would like to request if you could give a 1 minute gist of the lecture. I was actually doing service and couldn't really focus back and forth. So can you give a quick gist, and that would probably help, at least help me in asking, sharing a takeaway or something.
Okay. So when Srila Prabhupada started, he actually had the devotee read the purport, the full purport. And the purport was about the gopis. The gopis were favored more due to their oneness and love with Krishna. He even compared it to the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. And he said the devotees, the gopis, their love and the way they related to Krishna was very, very, very intense, far more intense. We remember that Arjuna was a friend to Krishna. And so friends, sometimes they get into debates and so on, sometimes Arjuna would disagree, but not the gopis. Gopis give all of themselves to Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada says, gopis, they serve Krishna without asking anything. They want to give everything to Krishna without desiring anything from him. And that should be our attitude. Give to Krishna, don't ask anything from Krishna. And he says, people worship God for something. And there are 4 types of people that come. Atati, those in need of money, they come to the Lord. Those that want knowledge, gyanis, they come. Then inquisitive people, what's God like? How does he operate? They also come. And then diseased people, they also come. But Srila Prabhupada explained, they are not bhaktas. But they can become bhaktas, of course, if they resort to loving devotional service. Then he came back to the gopis. Gopis did not want to know Krishna philosophically. They did not want to know whether Krishna was God or not. All they wanted to do was love him, serve him. And when Krishna plays his flute in the dead of night, then the gopis, they were married, some of them were mothers. They would leave home, then they go to him, no respect for any of the relatives. And Krishna comes first. So Bhishma Dev also, at the point of death, he was relishing the thought of Krishna. Then he gave one other example, King Kulashekar, who wanted, he was a king, he wanted to die immediately when he was healthy. He didn't want to get old first. He says, now I remember you, then let me leave at this time. This was a very popular prayer by King Kulashekar. Amiya Vilaswami would like to preach about King Kulashekar. Then Prabhupada described the death. At the time of death, the arrangement, he says, the body becomes very painful, the things that happen. So much so that one wants to be relieved of the pain, to die and get it over with. But he said, we've forgotten this, how bad it can be at the time of death. People are more concerned with the external body. He says, now 99% of the people in the world are concerned about the body. And we're practically the only institution teaching that we're not the body. But the rascals are the ones in control, the professors and all, they all deal with the body. So then he ended that only Krishna consciousness movement can save the human civilization. and raise him to the platform of the gopīs. So the gopīs have unalloyed devotion to Krishna, and that is wanted. So that's pretty much the summary of that is what I got. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing that. Actually, as you were sharing the gist of Srila Prabhupada's lecture about how surrendered the gopis are, like they don't want the philosophy of the Lord, they just want to just serve him. I was just thinking how as followers of Krishna consciousness or as disciples of our spiritual masters, that, how important it is for us to rise to the higher nature. Our action, reflects what we were taught, how we were taught, for at least for those of devotees who are initiated, it reflects on the spiritual master, and the spiritual master expects us to behave or act on a higher nature, and how important that is, and the reason being is, they want us to get to that level of full surrender to Krishna, which is the ultimate goal of life, is to give all our lives, to give, to know the essence of our existence is our real relationship with God. So I was just thinking how, we are so fortunate to be hearing this, to help us to rise to that level. Of course, we can never, ever, ever copy or mimic the gopis, and that's a big offense. We know that. We should never think I'm this gopi, I'm that gopi, or I'm this swarup and I'm that swarup, because that is very, very, very offensive. We were told by our acharyas. We should always remember that we are the level of das, anudas, and we should actually pray to the gopis, to help us become servants of Krishna, not assume that our swarup is this gopi or this gopal and that gopal and whatever, because that's really not the right consciousness that Prabhupada expects from us. But to be servants of the gopis, so that, we can get a little bit of mercy to surrender to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very important, the connection that you made from your comments to end that we really should be servants of the gopis. When Uddhava was sent by Krishna, because the gopis were missing Krishna when Krishna went to Mathura, Uddhava went to Vrindavan, he wouldn't with a letter from Krishna. But when he noticed the way in which the gopis were so attracted to Krishna, even while he wasn't there, it was just, in American terms, mind-blowing to him. He hadn't seen any devotees express such wonderful love, even in Krishna's absence, like that the way the gopis were doing. So much so that he desired to just take birth, and put himself in a situation that the dust from the lotus feet of the gopis would actually be smeared over him. So he wanted to take birth in the plant form, in the tree form, plant form, actually, grass, like that. In the situation where the gopis could actually step on him, and then he can get the mercy in terms of the dust from the lotus feet of the gopis. So Uddhava was that impressed. And that is the unalloyed love that the gopis have for Krishna. And yes, if you want to grow, whoever is the expert, you copy from them. That's just fact in life. You copy from a person that knows how to do it so well. So yes, if we become servants of the gopis, then we have a chance to also understand a little bit of the mood of the gopis towards Krishna. And that little bit would actually help us to grow exponentially, because the gopis were totally surrendered to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? This was a short lecture, so we have plenty of time. Anybody else?
I think also that past, about Uddhava and looking at the gopis' surrendering mood to Krishna, And I was thinking about the pastime, the drama, the pastime of the Gopi Chandan, how Narada Muni wanted to know who was the dearmost devotee of the Lord. And he did his traveling, when he found out that the Lord had a headache. And at the end, the only one that was willing to do anything for the Lord, and they were even ready to go to hell, as the gopis said. They were ready to go to hell as long as they can please and relieve that their beloved Krishna. They were willing to do anything. So that actually shows that the gopis, I was just thinking, how the gopis, they don't care of anything. They just want to please the Lord. They will sneak out of the house. They would take the dust from their feet. They would do anything without hesitation, without a drop of hesitation, without a drop of, attachment. They would do everything and anything for the Lord, and that's why that they are the dearmost devotees of the Lord. As opposed to us, we have to think a million times before we say yes to a service, or we say we a million times before we commit to a service, or a million times like we have to do a lot of thinking. We don't, and that is even more reason why we should pray to the gopis, to help us develop that mood of surrender, that mood of complete Atma Nivedana, that complete detachment, and just, get up and go kind of a thing, don't even think twice, just get up and go. And only the gopis can do that. And so, yes, if we sincerely want to develop that mood without any hesitation or holdbacks or whatever you want to call it, then we should pray to the gopis for that mercy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, very, very, very important point. The fact of the matter is that if we become hesitant to do service, or the service demands some parts that we are a little bit, or at least the mind begins to think, well, I don't know whether I want to get through all of this to do the service. As soon as we think that way, our service attitude has been lowered. And it is Krishna looks not as much at the service, but the attitude towards the service. And so somebody says, I want to do service, but then they have excuses. That person will never really grow into the love of Krishna. Service is, as it says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 29, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam. Krishna is the beneficiary, the benefactor of Bhoktaram yagya, of all sacrifices, worship, tapasya, tapa, austerities. So in order for us to grow, there will be some austerities practically in every service that we do. Even if the service has a particular method that we follow, Krishna wants to help us to grow. So there would be a situation where we will face some challenges within the service to test to see whether we really, within the challenge that we face, we will do the service anyway. This is and if we do that, and if we do that willingly, this is how we get to grow. And this is how Krishna reveals, opens our hearts in love. So we learn how to love the Lord. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, when I'm doing service and challenges come, that's when I'm the happiest. Why? Is it because he wants to just do something to himself? Or he likes pain? No, not at all. Not at all. He wants to do the service. When the difficulty comes, he sees that as the show of his love for the Lord. He gets to show more love to the Lord, because it's a person that you love that you can put yourself through inconvenience to serve them. Then you truly love that person. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that I'm happiest when I'm even faced with challenges when I'm serving the Supreme Lord. The gopis are like that. So much so that they don't even care about their reputation. They were married women. Some of them didn't have children. Some of them were mothers. But when Krishna plays the flute in the middle of the night, they would still leave home and hear the sound of the flute and go be with them. And they were never expecting anything from the Lord. They were never expecting anything. So much so that Krishna had to tell them at one point that I'm so impressed with your service, talking to the gopis, I don't know how to repay you. I do not know how to repay you. So the closest thing to satisfying you is just giving you myself. Says, take me as the payment. There's no other way. And he also says, just relish your own service as pay for it. The gopis were that open to service. The gopis were that surrendered to the Lord. And that's why Krishna also is telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, just surrender to me. Gopis do it best. You do it best. So that's what this particular one here. While everybody else in the world is thinking about the body, and Śrīla Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text 13, Tata dehantara prapti. Dehino asmin yata dehe komari ovaram jara. Tata dehantara prapti dhiras tatalam bhuhyati. This embodied soul, it goes through the time when the body is very young, baby, until it becomes old. And then after that, similarly, the body, it gets old and leaves, there's another body. So a person who is sober, dhira, he's not surprised by this. But people think, oh, everything is about the body, and when this body leaves, that's it. Therefore, the religions and other people got it backwards, practically. And they can't answer a lot of questions about life in this world because they don't understand that we're not the body. We are the spirit soul. And so Śrīla Prabhupada spent time there to explain. And he says, we're practically, and this is, I absolutely believe it. I have not heard societies, spiritual societies, as they call themselves, or religions, talking about the fact that we are not the body. Only in Krishna consciousness you hear, we're not the body, we're not the body, we're not the body. And so much advantage is there to live a proper life just by understanding that we're not the body. If the world understood that and accepted it, there would be no racism. Immediately that would be gone. Because racism is based on the body. There will be far more cooperation. Even United Nations will work if they knew that they were not the bodies. But everything is done based on the body. And that's why people are suffering, because they've got the wrong conception about life in general. But not only are we not the bodies, but we're supposed to serve the Lord, even while we're in these bodies, just like the gopis did. Put our hearts out for the Lord, and then we'll be happy. That's where our happiness is. Hare Krishna. Any final comments?
If I can make one more comment,
Yes.
I was
You
just
still have
thinking
time.
that, we should, rather than thinking of the gopis, because that is like really high level, which we cannot ever fathom. We can't even fathom to really, aspire for, because, we should come down to the level of our spiritual masters, Śrīla Prabhupada, and really learn. And I wouldn't say just, reading and understanding, but that's very jnani, in my humble opinion, is to really learn and see how today's spiritual masters are sacrificing everything that they have in Krishna's service. And not even spiritual masters, we have a lot of devotees, in our movement, a lot of proper disciples who are giving everything with little to nothing that they possess or they own just for the sake of, understanding, what it means to give everything we have for Krishna. What is the purpose of our existence? Why is there a soul? Who am I as a soul? If we really understand the basics of Krishna consciousness and really learn from our spiritual master, look at Prabhupada. Prabhupada can very well say, I'm 70 years old. Why in the world do I want to risk my life to come to a foreign country that I don't even know? you know? And we should ask ourselves, how many of us will we even do that at the age of 70? Even 50, we are like, so hesitant, you know? And if you think of Bhakti Swami, you know, when COVID was at the prime, you know, ripened stage in US, and Maharaj was in Ujjain and he couldn't bear to see what was happening in US because it was so crazy around the world. He says, I am a sannyasi. I should be preaching when there is war. And even his disciples, you know, didn't want him to come at all, but he took the chance and he came to Orlando, and within 2 weeks he left his body. And he did not regret once, oh my God, I should have listened to my disciples. You know, I should have just stayed in Ujjain and not come to America. You know, if I was in Ujjain, I would be alive now. No, he just happily, you know, embraced death. He even told Jayapataka Swami, you know, this body belongs to Prabhupada. He was completely at the mood of Atma Nivedana, you know. So we have living examples. The question is, are we taking the time to really learn and understand what it means to give everything we have to the Lord without any holdbacks and attachments? We have living examples. And because this is what is going to help us, you know, transform, it's, you know, because information should be transformed. Information should not be just kept. Information should equal to transformation. And I think that's the point here, because I mean, I was just thinking about Bhakti Swami, how much he gave everything. And he landed, I think, the end of June. And no, wait. He ended about a couple of weeks before June, and he left on July 4th. He never once regretted. He gave it, and you know, he was in the land for about a week, I think, and he was in a hospital, and then he was gone. He never once regretted, not once. We have so many examples, you know, and when we hear these great pastimes of our acharyas, and these are the present acharyas, we shouldn't just act as jnanis. It should be vigyan. How can we apply this information to our lives and make it vigyan and transformational? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that was what Srila Prabhupada was saying. Gopis were not trying to philosophically know Krishna. They were just serving Krishna. So devotion service is practical, very practical. As you mentioned, vigyan, wisdom, service, application. That all means vigyan. Gyan's knowledge, but then the application. After knowing I should do this, I should not do this, like that. And then we improve in our lives. Then that's how we become happy. The happiness will come from internal. External things won't give us happiness. It doesn't matter how many external things we, you know, buy for ourselves, whatever quality, whatever expense. It's the happiness will come internally, especially when we chant with focus and we chant with desperation, when we chant with great attention, and complete the 16 rounds and even go further, like that. Then the happiness will come. Because Krishna says, the extent to which we surrender, he will reward accordingly. And we all have the propensity to love Krishna, but it's covered up by material activities all over lifetimes after lifetime. But it can be open if we want to serve, and whatever we hear, put it into practice. Just like Srila Prabhupada talked about today. Hare Krishna. Any final comments? If not, then thank you very much for coming on today to hear this lecture. Wonderful lecture by Srila Prabhupada. And I wish that in the midweek now, the rest of the week, have a wonderful, wonderful Krishna conscious week. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.